Season 1 just dropped in Rogue Company, and since I haven't made a tier list in 4 months, I thought it was the perfect time to update my prior Rogue Company tier list. If you're new to the game, be sure to check out some of my other videos. I will link the most important ones in the description down below. If you want to support the channel and help this game grow, be sure to like the video and subscribe. The only reason I mention this at the start of each video is because the more our channel expands on YouTube, the more YouTube will actually promote Rogue Company content to people that may not even know about it. Alright, enough nerd talk. Strap in because this is a long one. Let's get into it. Like last time, we'll define the tier list as follows. S means potentially deserving of a nerf. A is for the above average, seen most frequently in top picks. B is the average. C is below average and may get picked as counters to other rogues or flex picks. And D is potentially deserving of a buff. I do also want to mention that there have been a lot of changes since my last video, and to keep things as short as I can, I won't be going through all the stat changes with each rogue, but just letting you know what's been nerfed and buffed along the way. We'll start things off with Anvil. Anvil. As a defender, Anvil is focused on securing objective locations and slowing the enemy advance. No other rogue can effectively lock down a corridor or narrow hallway as well as Anvil can with his barricade. Combined with his active protective system gadget, Anvil is almost able to hold an objective by himself. Anvil is also a great choice if you play Demolition and plan to retake the bomb after it has been planted. Just plop that shield down right on the bomb, throw out an APS or two, and start defusing while your team covers you. Anvil also has the only LMG in the game at the moment, the MLX Ma, which is a fairly average weapon all things considered, but has the highest magazine capacity in the game by far. His passive immunity makes him immune to EMP and disorient effects. He used to also be immune to slow and blind effects, but those were removed quite some time ago. The perks he has access to are fitting for a defensive role, of which I would recommend picking up the Headstrong, Tenacity, and Helping Hands perks. Anvil is simply a well-designed defender and is ranked at the above average A tier in our tier list. Previously, we had ranked Anvil in the A tier. Chaac. As a duelist, Chaac is designed to win combat engagements and force trades with the enemy team. Chaac does this effectively, but there are other duelists that do what Chaac does just a little bit better. Chaac is a lot of fun to play, and his ability and passive are unique. With his buffs, he definitely is a viable rogue across all levels of play. New players may want to pick up and play as Chaac though, as being able to revive after being downed is a helpful mechanic when you're just learning. As you get more comfortable with the character, you will want to use his ability to engage or heal after a fight when you're getting pushed. With Chaac, you will have the option to get flashbangs, and in their current state, they're quite good. His perks on the other hand are fairly average. You want to pick up Life Drain and Helping Hand first. Chaac's SMG is below average in my opinion, but he has debatably the best shotgun in the game. I actually prefer the shotgun over the SMG in almost any scenario. Previously, we had ranked Chaac in C tier, but we're moving him up to B tier. Dahlia. Dahlia is technically a support rogue by providing combat assistance to her teammates, but she does so much more than that. Dahlia is still the most versatile rogue in the game and is able to fit on any team comp due to the combination of her passive buddy system and ability Danger Close. Dahlia is able to inherit the passive of any teammate for the round and able to revive them if they are within 30 meters. The only combination that doesn't work great is with Vi, where you won't actually benefit from her passive. Some of the best combinations are with Lancer, Trench, Phantom, and now Kestrel. You should also know that the passive works outside of that 30-meter range. The cooldown on Dahlia's revive ability is still extremely short, which allows for 15 or more revives in a full game of Strikeout. I really do think that Dahlia is just a better version of Saint for being a combat medic. Similar but different to Saint, Dahlia has access to the Lifeline perk. This perk allows her to revive teammates in 3 seconds instead of the standard 5 seconds. She also has access to Tenacity, which is still one of the best perks in the game. Dahlia's weapon loadout is also above average. She has access to the MXR and the Objection. The MXR has seen a lot of nerfs but still remains a solid choice. Over time, people have begun picking up the Objection more frequently, but it really depends on your playstyle. That said, Dahlia doesn't waver from the S tier. I still believe she is deserving of some slight nerf, and I feel it should come as an increase in cooldown or decrease in range on her ability. Dallas. Dallas is an intel type, which means he helps your team gain information on enemy positions to turn engagements in your favor. Dallas has a very fun ability, which is his Target Finder. Target Finder reveals the nearest targetable enemy that isn't immune to reveals. Combined with his passive Recharge, as you down more enemies, your Target Finder will instantly recharge. Combined with the Devotion or his HRM Assault Rifle, Dallas has a solid loadout. If your aim is on point, the Devotion can actually be quite devastating, but if you're more of a run and gun type, then the HRM Assault Rifle is good enough. Although I don't think Dallas's revolver is a great secondary, within a certain range it does 2 tap to the head and 3 taps to the body. It's not very forgiving if you miss your shots, and oftentimes if enemies close in on you, you may start to panic. The 2 perks I'd recommend to run on Dallas are Headstrong and Bounce Back. Dallas has had some solid buffs and has seen some play in the competitive scene, but overall I feel that Dallas is your average rogue, putting him at B tier. Previously we had ranked Dallas in C tier. The reason Dallas isn't higher is because of how good the perk tracker rounds is, which almost eliminates the need for a Dallas. Dima. As a breacher, Dima specializes in pushing through defenses or making an opening for his team to advance. He has access to 2 great weapons, some good perks, a fun ability, and solid gadgets to support the team. For primary weapons, you're looking at the KA-30 and the Mamba. If you're new to the game, I'd recommend the KA-30 because it's your most straightforward weapon in the game and is still a good weapon, and if you're a veteran of the game, I'd recommend the Mamba. In the right hands, the Mamba is one of the best weapons in the game. It is solid at range, but is awkward to handle in those close range engagements. His ability, the Merv Launcher, fires this devastating cluster of grenades to a location. This ability is extremely fun to use and is what makes Dima, Dima. The cluster can be used in many different ways. It can be used to wipe a squad, confirm kills on downed enemies, area denial for enemy movement, or to cover you as you move out of cover, destroy equipment within an area like trench barbed wire, or delay or prevent a team from planting or defusing the bomb for a short duration. Certain maps are better for the Merv Launcher than others, but if you're creative, you can rain down clusters onto your enemy in many different ways. Just make sure if you're going against a trench or anvil that you throw frag and EMP grenades first, as active protection systems will destroy your Merv Launcher grenade before it has a chance to explode. His passive ability also got reworked to really complement Dima's loadout and Merv Launcher. Dima now reveals any enemy that is hit by his explosions for a short duration. This works great for frag grenades, Semtex grenades, bounce grenades, and his Merv Launcher. For perks, I'd recommend picking up Life Drain and Bounce Back. Bounce Back still remains one of the better perks in the game, and Life Drain is always a solid choice, especially for strikeout play. Now, Dima still holds a special place in my heart because I feel he is heavily underutilized, but we are going to drop Dima from our prior ranking of the S tier down to the B tier. He has mostly been buffed since our last ranking, but other rogues have risen to the top in terms of competitive play, and Dima just isn't really one of them right now. Don't get me wrong though, I still bang with Dima. Fixer. Oh boy, next we have Fixer, the man that broke Rogue Company single-handedly. Quite literally. The Fixer update is what turned away a lot of players from the game and is what prompted several of my Rogue Company criticism videos. Now, it's been a while since Fixer was released, but he is still one of the most game-altering rogues in the game. Fixer is officially labeled as a sniper, but let's be honest, he's the dude that sees through smoke. His ability is called Thermal Vision, which when activated allows him to see heat signatures for a short duration. Coupled with smoke grenades from enemies or teammates and his own cluster smoke gadget, Fixer is devastating as he can see straight through the smoke. The only counters to this are Phantom's Nano Smoke or the use of the Cloaked perk, which doesn't really do that much. His passive ability is called Shrapnel Rounds, which gives Fixer the ability to slow enemies whenever he damages them with a firearm. This sounds more powerful than it actually is, as the slowing effect is almost unnoticeable. On top of Fixer's amazing ability, he has access to the tiered heavy sniper rifle and the Deadeye DMR. With the heavy nerfs to the tier over time, people have begun to pick up the Deadeye more. Both weapons are still very good, and you can't really go wrong picking either primary weapon. Fixer also has the Warrant as his secondary, which is one of the better secondaries in the game. Oh, and did I mention that he has C4, Helping Hand, Bounce Back, Life Drain, and Headstrong perks? Yeah, this guy's kit is loaded. The entire competitive scene even went as far as to ban him from all competitive matches. We previously had no rank for Fixer because he wasn't released at the time of the tier list, but he firmly plants himself in the S tier as he still needs more nerfs because his kit is still bloated. Glitch. As a breacher, Glitch specializes in pushing through defenses or making an opening for his team to advance. Glitch's hack ability is very unique to Rogue Company, as it is essentially an area of effect EMP centered around Glitch. The best use of his ability, however, is for intel. With the tablet pulled out, you're able to see enemy names within range of the hack. You can use this to let your team know how many enemies are within range, and sometimes can even pinpoint where someone is hiding. Glitch is a hard counter to enemy equipment and abilities like Anvil, Shield, and Trench Barbed Wire. Unfortunately, Glitch moves very slowly with his tablet out and takes an uncomfortable amount of time to deploy the hack and leaves you completely defenseless. Glitch has received some buffs with time and even has access to some decent weapons and perks. The LMPX is a good SMG, and the SKL6 shotgun is my personal favorite in the game, and with access to tenacity, headstrong, and tracker rounds, Glitch is fairly average. The problem is that with good communication and utility, there are just better options than running Glitch on your team. Previously, we had Glitch in C tier, and I really do think that Glitch is still a below average rogue. He just needs some slight buffs to his hack activation speed or movement speed with the tablet pulled out for him to move up in our tier list. Kestrel, the most recent rogue to be added to Rogue Company. Kestrel is a duelist type rogue that engages in close range combat and forces trades with the enemy. In her current state, her Halo drone's ability is a bit buggy at times. It's a bit awkward to target with and feels a little underwhelming at times. That said, a lot of people have been finding success with her Halo drone's ability to lock down a wall or a corridor so that you can advance out in the open or close the distance. The drones can also be used preemptively from a distance to strike a location unexpectedly. I've already faced some high level Kestrel competitive players and they're scary. Kestrel has access to the bounce grenade, which I've learned is actually very powerful. The grenade has a very short set time to explode after it is bounced once. What this means is that over time, people will better learn where to bounce grenades to have them land perfectly at specific spots on the map. Because of the short fuse time, it's very difficult to avoid these grenades when they're thrown at you. You may not get down, but you're definitely taking some damage. Her other gadget is the Adrenaline Shot, which is great for disengaging from a fight with lowered health or engaging into a fight with an extra speed boost. Her two primary weapons are the Riptide Assault Rifle and the Knight SMG. I personally prefer the Knight SMG, but I've mostly seen high-level players use the Riptide Assault Rifle, so I'd recommend the Riptide over the Knight. For perks, you'll want to pick up Resupply and Helping Hand. Kestrel wasn't on our prior tier list, but we're going to put her at the average B tier. At the time of this tier list going live, I do think that Kestrel will climb the tier list in the very near future once people get more used to her, but for now, she feels average with room for improvement based on player skill. Lancer. Oh, Lancer. One of the most frustrating rogues to play against in the right hands and one of the most fun rogues to play with in your hands. That sounds wrong. If you're looking for a rogue to unlock, I definitely consider picking up Lancer. She's just so fun to play as. Lancer has access to 24S SMG and the Striker shotgun. The 24S is an average SMG and the Striker is an average shotgun with a very long reload time, but when paired with Lancer, works very well. This is because of Lancer's passive ability, Elusive, where activating dodge roll reloads your currently equipped weapon. She also has the Quick and Quiet ability, which grants her increased movement speed, quieter movement, and immunity to reveals for a duration or until firing her weapon. This ability actually lasts a decent amount of time and can be used to flank the enemy, secure positioning on the map first, and evade reveals such as Dallas's ability. For perks, you'll want to pick up Life Drain first and then Tracker Rounds or Helping Hand. Shredder Rounds may also be a must-have in Strikeout play to secure extra ammo because with Lancer, you will most likely run out very quickly using that SMG. Lancer is a great pick for any Strikeout match and even has viability in competitive demolition play. We previously had her ranked as above average A tier, and we're going to keep her right where she's at. Phantom. Currently the only other sniper class in the game aside from Fixer, Phantom excels at dealing substantial damage in long-range combat. And as of recently, she also can deal substantial damage in mid-range combat due to the addition of the Nightshade Assault Rifle to her kit. Phantom hasn't seen much play in competitive for various reasons, but she is still very fun for pub stomping and casual matches with her sniper rifle. Her ability is Nano Smoke, which can be used offensively or defensively. Used offensively, it reveals enemies in the smoked area. Used defensively, it can block off vision to run between cover or be used to obscure vision during a revive. Remember, Fixer can't use his thermal vision to see through Phantom smoke, so she acts as a soft counter to Fixer specifically. Her passive, Grievous Wounds, is often overlooked, but is still very good. It delays health regeneration on any enemy that you damage. With the Nightshade Assault Rifle and Tracker Rounds combined with Grievous Wounds, we may see significantly more Phantom playing competitive than we have in the past. At least I hope so. For perks, you'll want to pick up Stalker if you're running the sniper rifle to jiggle peek in and out of cover faster while scoped. But if you're running the Nightshade, I recommend picking up Tracker Rounds and then Helping Hand or Life Drain. I do want to mention that Phantom is also the only rogue with access to the Sticky Sensor at the moment, which will reveal any enemies that pass within its range. It's been buffed a bit and can be used to deter flanks or can be used offensively to reveal enemies within an area. Previously, we ranked Phantom at A tier, which I still think she may have the potential to be with this new Nightshade edition, but for now, I feel that she's an average B tier rogue. Ronin. As a duelist, Ronin is designed to win combat engagements and force trades with the enemy team. Ronin's ability is the Ballistic Knife, a retrievable explosive throwing knife that attaches to surfaces and detonates when enemies are near, and also detonates on impacts with an enemy player. Its ability is good for defense and offensive play. Her passive is called Underground, which means she won't show up on the minimap. Her passive is currently the only way to counter Talon's Radar Dart. Abilities aside, she has access to the KA-30 and the SLC. Both of these weapons are great, and you'll want to decide which weapon you prefer using. On close range maps, I'd recommend the SLC over the KA-30. For perks, you'll want to pick up Tracker Rounds and Tenacity first. Ronin was previously ranked at A tier, but with Talon not seeing much high-level play lately, there isn't a great reason outside of her knife, smokes, and frags to run Ronin over some of the other rogues, so we are moving her down to B tier. Saint. As a support-type rogue, Saint provides combat assistance to his teammates. Saint has had a lot of changes since we last ranked him in our tier list. Some people hate the changes, and others love the changes. The scope from his MLX Mark IV was removed, and so were his trip mines. Now, people love these unique aspects to Saint's kit, but honestly, these changes make him a little bit more viable than he was before. It's now easier to peek corners, and C4 is objectively just a better gadget than the trip mine was, despite how unique it was. Saint's main thing is his Revive Drone ability paired with his passive that heals you and the Revive teammate for a significant amount. The drone has unlimited range and can revive any teammate on the map. The drone itself is destroyable, however, so if you see a Revive drone, be sure to shoot it. First things first, you'll want to pick up the Helping Hand perk because with it, revive time decreases from 5 seconds down to 3 seconds. Your teammates will thank you for this. Saint's other good perks are Bounce Back, Headstrong, and Tracker Rounds. With these, he's a great support pick for most team comps. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, but Dahlia just feels like a better version of Saint. Saint's Revive Drone ability would have to have a faster cooldown for me to want to pick him up over Dahlia in pretty much every scenario. Previously, Saint was ranked at A tier, but he's dropping down to B tier as he hasn't been played much in the competitive scene. Previously, Saint was ranked at A tier, but he's dropping down to B tier as he hasn't seen much play at all in the competitive scene. I would have ranked him as C tier, but I do think that his recent changes pull him up to the B tier. Scorch. As a duelist, Scorch is designed to win combat engagements and force trades with the enemy team, and to be honest, in a 1v1 scenario, Scorch should win almost every time when paired with her ability. That ability is Overheat. It sets enemies on fire for a short duration after damaging them with firearms or melee attacks. This ability is best when used with weapons that have a high fire rate, which is why I'd recommend her SLC SMG over the Arbitrator shotgun. Don't get me wrong though, the Arbitrator is still a great weapon. Her passive ability is Immunity to Fire, which after nerfs to frag grenades has actually become more relevant with time as people have shifted to using more incendiary grenades. Plus, Scorch has an incendiary grenade of her own. For perks, I'd recommend getting Headstrong and Tenacity if you're using the SLC, and flex in that Replenish perk if you're using the Arbitrator. Due to buffs to parts of Scorch's kit, she's been seen more in competitive play. Because of this and her ability to 1v1 so well, we're moving her up from B tier to the A tier. Sigrid. Sigrid is a recent addition to the list of rogues and wasn't released when we did our prior tier list. Before release, people were really concerned about her shield ability being overpowered, but after release, people realized they could just grenade Sigrid or beat down through her shield. Her ballistic shield blocks all incoming damage from the front, including explosions and bullets, but when moving, you are able to shoot Sigrid's feet, and when she aims with her pistol, you're also able to get those headshots. As Sigrid, you can also use the shield for melee attacks in close range. Another unique use of her shield is for planting or defusing the bomb or reviving teammates. While the ability is active, you will be able to more safely perform these actions. Sigrid's passive is Athletic, which makes her immune to slowing effects and allows her to move faster when crouched. Her passive is a bit lackluster, but it does allow her to run through tear gas and trench barbed wire without movement speed penalties. For weapons, she has the D40C SMG and the S12 Tactical Shotgun. I actually prefer the S12 Tactical over the D40C because I feel the D40C is just the worst SMG in the game. Her secondary is the Warrant Pistol, which is great when combined with her ballistic shield. For perks, I'd recommend first picking up Tenacity or Lifeline and then following up with Tracker rounds if needed. In the right hand, Sigrid can be a pain to deal with, but there are some bugs with her shield, and being able to beat Sigrid down through her shield just feels strange. In any case, we're going to place Sigrid down in C tier just because I feel there are some issues with her shield that need to be fixed to bring her back up to the B tier. Talon. Up next, we've got Talon. He's an intel type rogue, and his main thing is that radar dart. This thing attaches to surfaces and detects nearby enemies on your radar. The ability is quite good, but it's not as good as an actual outlined reveal of the enemy. It can also be destroyed quite easily if it's not placed in an area outside of line of sight. Talon's May Gloves passive allows you to rapidly redeploy the dart to different locations within range to check for enemies. But just remember, your dart won't work against Ronin. But that's not the only thing that May Gloves can pick up. No. As you can also pick up weapons, grenades, melee weapons, and the bomb from a distance. You can use this strategy in game modes with the central bomb or even in demolition. Talon has access to the LMPX SMG and the Deadeye DMR. Both weapons are solid, but I tend to see most people pick up the LMPX. I personally prefer the Deadeye, but both weapons have their pros and cons. On Talon, I'd recommend picking Tenacity, Tracker rounds, and Life Drain for perks. We previously had Talon in an A tier, but people have learned how to play around Talon, so we are going to move Talon down to B tier. In certain game modes though, such as Countdown and Sabotage, Talon would definitely be A tier. Trench. As a defender, Trench is focused on securing objective locations and slowing the enemy advance. Trench just got a bit of a rework with the release of Season 1, with his barbed wire now having 2 charges instead of 1. The barbed wire is now much smaller and is no longer able to be destroyed by melee. The big issue with the barbed wire now is that it is pretty easy to sprint jump over the barbed wire and take minimal effect from it. Trench has always been a solid defensive choice, but with these recent changes, players have had to learn to adapt to where to place his barbed wire and active protection systems. Out of his 2 weapons, I always recommend using the MXR DMR over the HRM. It has been nerfed a few times, but I still prefer it. Trench has good utility with his tear gas grenade and active protection system. Both can be used to delay or negate movement to an area for a short duration. Trench is one of the few rogues that has a pretty high skill ceiling. Knowing placement locations for yourself, your active protection systems, barbed wire, and knowing when to use or hold your tear gas grenades isn't something you can learn quickly. Trench has some great perks to him to pick from as well, including Headstrong, Bounce Back, Helping Hand, and Tracker rounds. Previously, we had Trench in A tier, and we're going to keep him right there at A tier. Vi. Similar but different from Anvil and Trench, Vi is also a defender. In my first tier list video, I ranked Vi as the worst defender and placed her on the verge of C, almost D tier. In my last tier list video, I moved her up to B tier, and man, I was still wrong. Over time, Vi has been buffed in various aspects of her kit, and she is now one of the premier rogues in the game. Vi's ability is called Vile Poison, and it combos with her passive Leeching Poison. For every tick of health that the poison takes, it will grant 1 point of health to Vi, up to a max effective health pool of 125. I actually prefer her ability to Trench, as it can be used defensively and offensively more effectively. With her poison pool, you can also permanently reduce the health of any enemy that steps into the poison. If you combo the poison with incendiary grenades, you can lock down a really large area and deal a significant amount of damage over time and flush out enemies. Keep in mind that your poison pools can be destroyed while in the air from active protection systems. For weapons, I recommend Vi's Nightshade over her shotgun. It's a great assault rifle at pretty much any range. For perks, I recommend Tenacity, Tracker rounds, and Helping Hand. I do also want to mention that some people think that Vi should be immune to enemy Vi poison, but I disagree. This would create a meta that would almost require require Vi to be played in every single high level comp to counter an enemy Vi. She already has an extremely high pick rate. Simply put, Vi is amazing right now in Rogue Company. She's not only extremely strong, but she's also extremely fun to play as. We're moving Vi up from the depths once again and bringing her to the surface where she belongs, up in the S tier. She's at a point where she may deserve a little bit of a nerf. For new players and veterans of the game, I hope you found this tier list helpful or interesting. And be sure to let me know down in the comments how you change things around. Again, if you like this video, be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing. Our Discord has over 2,000 members, so if you're looking for teammates to play with or just join in with the Rogue Company community, head on over there. I want to see Rogue Company continue to grow, and your support here on YouTube and Twitch for my channel and others helps more than you may know. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time.